Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 2021 My Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day today. We're headed to the Japanese GP here at the Suzuka circuit. A very fun racetrack to drive on, but a challenging one in this game, especially in the first sector with the curbing and those S's. It can be very deadly and it can turn your race around very quick. Last season when we were here, we actually DNF'd in a very late race crash after a safety car restart where we saw, I think it was Lewis Hamilton, lose control of his Mercedes, and it caused a big pileup. So we're hoping to avoid that and finish today. We've returned with Aston Martin in the last episode after a crazy finish on the final lap in the Singapore GP where we were fighting our teammate of Sebastian Vettel for the race victory. So we're moving on from that. That was a nice race for us. We had a nice bounce back, although we didn't have the finish we deserved. But hopefully we continue with a little bit of momentum here into the Japanese GP as we can hope to put our differences with Aston Martin aside and move on with the conclusion of these final handful of GPs. Now as this final push towards the end of the season is underway, and I'm very excited to see what we are going to be able to do here. Now is also very easy to invalidate a lap time here, as I've found out once again very quick here at the Suzuka circuit now, is you got to be so technical around here now, and it's one of those you get the elbows out kind of track, but at the same time you got to be really technical as well. You might notice as well the video kind of looks a little more, I guess I could say, grainy maybe. My Streamlabs updated and it completely reset without me knowing before I recorded this episode. So I recorded it, realized after, and the bitrate was quite a bit lower for some reason, so I've had to go back in and fix my settings. I think I got them where they need to be, but unfortunately it won't be until the next episode that you see that difference. So I do apologize for that. There wasn't aware that Streamlabs was going to reset my settings with an update. That's never happened before, but nonetheless focusing back on the task at hand here, and that's getting a good result in qualifying here for the Japanese GP there, as there is potential weather on the way, by the way, in the GPs. So we haven't had much rain this season. We've only had rain for a few laps in Canada, and that was it. So there is potential rain that will be a threat here in Japan late in the GP. So we'll see how that affects our strategy now as we come through, though, into qualifying. As you guys expect, we're going to make it through Q1 really with no problems, but my first lap actually wasn't that great. So I had come through to set a decent lap, but I actually went and made a second banker lap that would put me through into P12 and actually basically wasted a set of tires because I ended up would have been fine actually on just the first lap that I made. So that was a little bit frustrating there, and that left us with only one set of fresh soft tires in Q2. So we go through into the second qualifying session, and I waited pretty late to make my lap here, trying to make it into Q3. We quite haven't had the pace all weekend to be in Q3, so I was a little bit concerned. Vettel was currently P11, but he was actually setting a pretty fast lap, and it was looking like he was on pace to get into the top 10. My lap was pretty good. I had made a couple of slip-ups. You saw me go a little bit wide there on the exit of the S's towards the end of Sector 1, but overall it was a relatively competitive lap, but it wouldn't be enough. I would come through to cross the line, and we would only go P12, so I tried to set another lap, but I would actually make quite a mistake. Right here, the car slipped out. I was already going slower, so I called it there. I knew we weren't making to Q3. Vettel makes it in, but we do not make it out of Q2 here in the Japanese GP. So we start P12. Let's head to the grid here for Japan.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Let me ask you about Aston Martin. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Hamilton, Gasly, Leclerc, Sainz, and Sebastian Vettel. The rookie, Russell, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Latifi, Joe, Mick Schumacher, Lance Stroll, and Yuki Tsunoda. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon and Callum Ilott. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
There you saw the grid. You saw some grid penalties as well here as we get ready to go lights out. We move up one spot due to some grid penalties in our favor, and we're going to be doing a soft to a medium compound tire one stop strategy. Pretty straightforward, but it did not show rain there on the little race predictor, but I did see a 40% or so chance of rain on the monitor before we went into the weekend, so I still think there is that chance here. Now, as you guys know, the prediction before the race is not exactly accurate due to the settings I have for this career mode here, so we'll see what happens now as the grid is formed on the grid. Verstappen on pole. It's 5 red lights here in the Suzuka GP. Now as this lights out and we are underway, and it's a really good start for Verstappen. Lando Norris, the championship leader, P2. Hamilton, Bottas right now, they're trying to make up as much time as they can, especially to remain in the championship battle against Lando Norris there, as you see Ricciardo and Hamilton scrapping it out side by side. Hamilton has the advantage as they head down into the left-hander, but they're still side by side here as we come through the S's. A clean start so far now. Verstappen, Norris off very well. Now is in the background. There goes George Russell, and I pile into him, and he is out of the GP. We have a pile up here on the first and opening lap, including myself, who had nowhere to go, and the safety car is going to come out. We've completely lost our front wing, and it was just a crazy moment here where George Russell actually lost it right here on the curb. Around he went, and I basically made the same mistake, and watch what happens to me. I'm going to hit the same curb that he hit, but then I lose the car and I hit the back of the Williams, which turns me back around directly in to George Russell, and we pile in, take him out of the race. We lose our front wing, so of course we come into the pit lane, get into the pit box, throw a new front wing on the car, and now we switch over to the medium compound tire. That's the second time we've been involved in an accident in my career in that same area, unfortunately, at the end of the Japanese GP last season. Unfortunately, we DNF last time. This time we remain in the GP, but by the time we come through to the end of lap 3, the safety car would be back in, and obviously not much position change other than myself, so we were back underway with Verstappen leading the way. I was just happy to still be in the race after that lap 1 incident, but now we have a big journey ahead of us. I think we have good enough pace in this car to get a top 10, but Norris currently 2nd, Ricciardo 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Perez in 5th. So as of right now, Norris is extending his lead. Verstappen, the defending champion of the F1 career mode series, has yet to win this season still, and here he is right now leading the way. So we'll see if he's able to finally do that today in the last really quarter of the season pretty much that we're coming up on here. Now as you see the Ferrari duo of Sainz and Leclerc there, and then Sebastian Vettel as we look towards the back half of the top 10. So I have, of course, had a lot of work, like I said, cut out for myself if I was going to want to get a good finish here today in Suzuka after that first lap incident, and it starts with getting on the attack as quick as we possibly can. Now Esteban Ocon, by the way, I should mention, he had a 10-second time penalty, and I would actually make some work on him right here as we head down this long stretch towards 130R, and we will sure enough get past Esteban Ocon, and now we're going to try and put some pressure on Callum Ilott here and the Andretti Autosport car as we continue to make this little charge on this opening lap of Green Flag Racing here, and sure enough we will get past Ilott. Now there's still some rumors about the Andretti team potentially leaving, but they've kind of gone away, so I think Andretti will remain in this career mode here. Now as you would see me make a pass on Mick Schumacher there and continue to move on with my day. Sorry, Lance Stroll, that was, fellow Canadian. Then I would pass Mick Schumacher here though on at lap 6. DRS now enabled here as we didn't need that, of course, to pass a Haas, but then I get to the back of Guan Yu Zhou here now at the end of lap 6. He had a bit of a lock up there. He went defensive, then he nearly misses the corner. So here we are racing around him for the now 14th position with the DRS activated. We just easily cruise right on by him and move up another position. We're already closing in towards the top 10 actually here. We're right on the back now of Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, fellow Canadian again, and we're going to get past him into 130R as well. A bit of an aggressive move, but I wanted to be aggressive. I wanted to get moving forward as quick as I could, and we would do the same thing to his Williams teammate here a few moments later of Antonio Giovinazzi, who we've had a few run-ins with previously in our F1 career, but we've been able to stay away from each other recently now. But then as we come through a few laps later, as things calm down for myself, we had seen now Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo come into the pit lane, as well as Lewis Hamilton, and we see basically everybody put on the hard compound tire, and then Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas, Perez, they were coming in here a few moments later, and they were putting on the hard compound tire as well. I stayed out longer than everybody, so of course I'm on the medium compound tire, and I'm now leading the GP, but Lando Norris is able to get out in front of Max Verstappen. Verstappen. So Verstappen loses the lead during the pit cycle to Lando here, the championship leader, as I'm over here just having a good time, really, just leading this GP. There was a change of strategy though, so we were actually going to go a few extra laps and then put on a soft compound tire and go to the end of the GP, but I'm also asking for weather updates. Jeff was saying about 10 minutes until it starts raining, so by my calculations it's going to start raining around maybe lap 20, so at that point as well I don't really know if that means that the track's going to get wet in time, so I didn't know if I wanted to try and push it till the rain or not. Now as I just saw Lando Norris dropping down the order, Lando Norris is going to be out of the Japanese GP. He's pulling over to the right side of the track. He's had an engine failure. Here's a replay right here, and Ricciardo actually plows into the back of Max Verstappen as Lando Norris's engine fails. There's an onboard right there, and now he's going to have to pit for a new wing. Norris is out, and that's the championship leader we're talking about, but the action wasn't over because Verstappen fighting his teammate Perez, who decided to go out of the medium compound tire, while Perez gets in front of Max Verstappen and moves up into second place. Norris out, and that is an opportunity for everybody in terms of the championship battle, like Bottas, like Lewis Hamilton, like Sergio Perez. So a huge opportunity for these drivers in a shake of events here in the Japanese GP, and that slowed everybody up when that all happened. And I was over here comfortably 9.5 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez, but I had a pit stop coming up here. You can see the skies very overcast now. The rain was coming, but by the updates Jeff was giving me, it was actually going to come a little bit later than anticipated. So I decided we're just going to come into the pit lane anyways and make our one and only pit stop for the now soft compound tire with less than 10 laps to go. We've done the strategy a few times this season, and it's worked very, very well. Go long as possible, pit late for a soft compound, and push as hard as we can to the end. The only problem that we could see potentially is we don't know when that rain is coming exactly, so we'll have to wait and see. But we come through out of the pit lane, and actually after all of that we find ourselves in the top 10 in front of Yuki Tsunoda. So here we are, P9 behind the Ferrari duo, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, both on the hard compound tires here. So we try to put the pressure to the back of the Spaniard here. This is my favorite driver in line behind Sebastian Vettel once he retires here, as we're going to now lunge up the left-hand side of Carlos here, and we actually make contact wheel to wheel right there, but no damage to the car. We hit him at a perfect angle there, and then we would run down. Charles Leclerc here setting the fastest lap of the GP, coming to lap 22, and we're going to easily go by on the left-hand side. Nearly made some contact with him there, the Monegasque driver, but we move up now into P7, and then the rain. When was that coming? Well, it was lap 23. The rain had started to fall, and that immediately kind of set us back a little bit because you can't just go crazy hard on those soft tires when it's raining. So I did back it down a little bit, but we were still flying compared to some of these drivers in front of us. We were running down Pierre Gasly, but you can see there's only a handful of laps left in this GP, so we're not going to be pitting for an intermediate compound tire. I don't think the track's even going to get to that point, so it's really not affecting us. We're not even rain racing yet here now, as Perez was continuing to manage the lead over Max Verstappen here. So he was doing a tremendous job on a softer compounded tire that wears out quicker than the compound that Verstappen was on. But we now get to the back of Gasly here. DRS activated here with 2 laps to go in Japan, down towards turn 1. The rain's still falling, but really not significant enough to make too much of a difference. There was some grip loss, but not a lot. So we move up into P6. What a recovery drive as we come through to start the final lap of a wild Japanese GP here. Now Vettel, he's making a move up the inside. Crucial points for Lewis Hamilton potentially being lost here in the championship fight, and he loses the 4th position to the 4-time world champion of Sebastian Vettel, and of course my teammate who just won the Singapore GP in the last episode in Hamilton. That is some crucial points he's giving up because of the big engine failure for Lando Norris, the championship leader here earlier in this GP. This is the biggest opportunity Hamilton has had all season long since he's lost the championship lead to get back into the fight, and those are crucial points he just gave up right there. Sergio Perez continues to lead on this final lap. What a drive he has had here on, like I said, the softer, faster compound, but a compound that wears a lot quicker, and we're seeing that it's not making much of a difference because Vettel is on the medium compound as well and just passed Hamilton on the hard compound tire. So clearly the medium tire was way better than the hard compound at the end of this GP. Verstappen, he's not in the mix for the championship after a terrible, terrible season here. After his championship last season, it's not been the one he's been looking for. But Perez, who is going to capitalize on Lando Norris DNFing, is going to actually potentially bring him back into this championship battle, hopefully within 40 or so points. So it will be Perez coming through the final corners to win here in Suzuka as Verstappen continues on his winless season, finishes in second place. Bottas will round off the podium. Vettel steals fourth on the final lap from Lewis Hamilton. Myself just couldn't quite get him here in P6 as we're struggling for grip at this point, but we cross the line for a nice recovery drive after a lap 1 incident to finish well inside the top 10 here. I was very, very happy with this performance here in the Japanese GP as Yuki Tsunoda gets driver of the day in the AlphaTauri BMW. Let's head to the podium here for Sergio Perez's victory.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
What an action-packed GP here in Suzuka Circuit. Now, it was an absolute blast to drive there. It was not the start we were looking for. We had a rough qualifying effort. We had a terrible lap 1, but we had one heck of a recovery drive. Of course, Lando having his issues helped, and slower cars being in the mix helped here and there, and then the strategy just worked out for us. And everything really just worked in our favor other than that first lap incident here. So honestly, I feel like we would have finished worse if we didn't have that lap 1 incident, but you never know. So Aston Martin 4th in the standings, but Lando Norris, he lost some points, some crucial points, but he still remains comfortably ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So it's not like he's in a terrible position. So we'll have to wait and see as we go into the next episode. It will be the United States Grand Prix over there in Austin, Texas. So I'm excited to see what we can do there as we have some big upgrades coming to this team that could bring us back into a fight and maybe go for some podiums again here comfortably and not just have luck on our side to get there like in Singapore. So I'm excited for that, but as usual, that does it for me. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. We'll continue to watch this championship fight here in these closing rounds between Norris, Hamilton, Bottas, and Perez as it starts off in the next one in the United States GP. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching and have yourselves a great day.